Welcome to the Let's Talk About Talking podcast with your host, Adrienne Fuller, language and communications expert for kids of all ages. On this podcast, we talk about speech, language, and all things happening with your child, giving you specific tactical information you can use to help your kids talk, listen, and thrive in their academic journey.
Hello, everybody. This is Let's Talk About Talking, the podcast. And I want to say welcome. And my name is Adrienne Fuller. I'm a speech language pathologist. And this podcast is for parents and caregivers. That includes grandparents, foster parents, adoptive parents, and everyone along the way, aunties, uncles, and for kids of when they're teeny tiny newborns all the way to when they go to college. We had some really great content last season about uh, getting ready and saving for college and college admissions, and I'm really proud of that. But welcome. I'm so glad you're here, and I am so happy to have our guest with us today. I was like, the way I was invited to this lunch, I don't even know how I got there. And Carolyn Dennis was on the panel. And sometimes I'm going to be honest, because that's all I know how to be, listeners. Sometimes when we go to these lunches, you're like, oh, here we go. But she got on the mic and she was so inspiring and so informative that I'm like, okay, I have to make myself, I have to connect with her. And she was so gracious and she is joining me today. Now, Carolyn owns Kyle Consulting. In under that umbrella, she's got so much going on. She does financial fitness. She has a great course for kids and adults. As she has individualized financial coaching, and she also does business coaching and leadership training. I say all of that to say, if you are a parent listening to that, dabbling or maybe considering going into business, I think she would be one to watch. She has a heart for business owners because she is one. But today we're going to talk about finances. And I just want to say, welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here and honored that you extended an invitation. So thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. And
Sure.
before anybody says, oh, here we go talking about money, I'm going to get off. Carolyn and I had a quick discussion debrief right before we got on. You know what she said, you guys? She doesn't want you to feel judged. And I feel the same thing about even when parents are like, "Oh, I feel so bad. I waited too long to get my child therapy." There's no guilt in speech, and we don't want there to be any guilt in finances, right, Carolyn?
Absolutely. I think that, finance isn't sexy, right? It's not a sexy topic to talk about unless you have it, right? Unless you have a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
But it's such a necessary and a foundational component of our everyday lives. And everybody doesn't start or isn't at the same place financially in their understanding or in their ability or capacity. And so it's important to me as a financial education instructor to make sure that people feel comfortable when we're talking about money and that they don't feel that there's any judgment because we do what we know to do how we know how to do, right? So I know that sounded a little crazy. We only can do better if somebody introduces us to better or if somebody comes along and teaches us better. And so I'm very committed to the journey, but I'm also very intentional in making sure that people understand that there is no judgment. I never sit in a seat of judgment. I don't care if your credit score is 400. I don't care if you have NSFs in your bank account. It does not matter to me. You know what I'm saying? It does not matter to me. And the truth of the matter is, I didn't start my journey with a 700 credit score or money in the bank or a savings account or retirement accounts. I didn't, right? My
Mhm.
parents were middle income, hardworking parents. My mom was a nurse and my dad was an accountant, right? So we didn't live in big houses or, drive, Mercedes or whatever. We worked and my parents taught me the art of work And it was really through my professional career that I started to understand the power in, the transitions of money. And so um, I'm very intentional about sharing that with people because I don't want them to feel that they're less than, they're unworthy, or they're not enough because of their financial situation. We all start with zero. And it's, about us moving to a place where we can do better for our families and for ourselves. And so I like to say, take me along with your journey with you, right? Let us do this together. Let's do the work together. I will be your biggest cheerleader, supporter, and advocate for that. So,
They always say it takes a village. I'd like to update that by saying I think it's more like a team, and you have to find people on your team. I've preached this before. Find providers, therapy, financial coaching, whatever that you're comfortable with that can get you to wherever you want to get. And so I think with social media, we have this push to like spend all the money and take all the trips and buy all the cars and buy all the clothes and all the hair. I am one that buys all the hair. I like every single podcast, I have a different episode. I have a different hairstyle. But um, I think along with that, wanting to be the flex is also this, well, we don't like to talk about money, or you're going to put your head in the sand. Um, and so, where do you think one should start? If you're like, I
so
have the money I want, I know I want to make more, I want my money to do more. What should they do?
So let me start with one really important point. And anytime you speak to me, I'm going to make the point, right? No matter what venue or setting I am in. We do not allow other people to define success for us. Okay? Success is very subjective. My measure of success is definitely probably different than your measure of success. And
Mhm.
so success should not be a status point, right?
Mhm.
Our society has done a very damaging job
Mhm.
in teaching us how success looks, how it feels, how it behaves, how it talks, and the truth of the matter is it's all a facade.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Um, it's all a facade. So I try to start in the place that we do not get wrapped up in looking at success through the lens of somebody else, right? Other imperfect people. I learned very early on in my career, I have to say this. I learned very early on. I was very impressionable right out of college. And I thought when I was looking at people's financial statements, right, like people that you thought had it going on,
Mhm.
they didn't,
Mhm.
right? And so I remember having a conversation with my dad, and he was he's very old school, but he said something that made so much sense to me, and it has carried me through. Never be envious of what you think others have because you don't know what it took for them to get it, and you don't know what it's taking for them to keep. So,
Ooh, stop, stop,
in
stop,
that
stop, stop.
regard,
I love that. I always like every time I hear something that makes me jump, I'm like, stop, say it again. You don't know what it took for them to get it, and you
right,
don't know what it takes to keep it. And that's huge. Like,
it's
you can
huge.
have all the things, but if you're working like a dog and never see your kids or your spouse or your partner, is that what you call success? So,
Right.
great point.
Yeah, right. So I want to start with those points and then we can talk about, like, okay, Caroline, I'm not financially fit at all. I am, as a matter of fact, I don't even know what to do with my finances. And the truth of the matter is, that's okay. And it's so normal, right? It
Normal.
really is very normal for you not to have a particular direction or point of view. So when I have someone that I'm talking to for the first time and we're talking about finances and what we want, we talk about, let's define how success looks. That's the first thing, right? What does that look like for you and your family? And from that point, we can start to determine, okay, how do we do this or how do we do that, right? Do we put, you know, $25 in your savings account every week or every time you get paid? And then how do we make sure that we don't utilize it, right? That it becomes a savings account. Because sometimes that's where you have to start. I want to take my kids to Disney, but Disney is super expensive and I can't afford it. Okay, that's a goal. So now let's take action. Let's look at all the other spokes in your life and figure out how we can make this work, right? Because we're not working with, it's funny, sometimes I think people come into me and they're like, this is what I want. And I'm like, okay, we're not working with somebody else's money, we're working with your money. So what does that mean? We have to have an honest assessment about where you are, not where someone else is. And we want to make sure that we measure that in successful outcomes for you. Because I will tell you, I had a client recently that I started working with, and her credit was subpar. And she said, Caroline, I got to get it up because I want to buy my children a house. That's my goal. I want to get them in their own house, in their own rooms. And I said, okay, fine. And so we started talking about budgeting and we started looking through her budget. And she was like, I can't find any extra money. And I'm like, it's in there. Trust me. So we worked through some plans, and I've been working with her for several months now. And so now it's funny because when she comes to coaching sessions, she's very clear because she had to have a conversation with her children about the basics. Need versus a want, right? Let's talk about that. Needs versus a want.
Let's talk about it.
I will take care of your needs and we'll fit in your wants, right? Your wants don't come automatically. So we work through that. So now when she comes to a coaching session and we have our outline of our meetings and what we're going to discuss or whatever, and I'll ask her, I was like, because we fit in birthday celebrations. You can't stop living, right? We fit in birthday celebrations and we fit in, things that you want to do so you can still live a full life. I told her, I said, she said, I had to go grocery shopping. I said, okay, that's great. But she said, let me tell you something. I told the kids there'll be no Chick-fil-A for the next 4 weeks. There'll be no this for the next, 3 weeks or whatever the case may be. We're going to eat home cooked meals. And she said, you know what? They actually love it better. And it's saving me money. So now that money that I was using to spend to eat out, that goes into my savings account. So when I looked in my savings account, Caroline, I was super shocked at how much money I had in it because at the beginning of this journey, I couldn't find any extra money. And so for me, that's a win. It's a small win, but it's a win. And now she knows, okay, this is something I can do. Not only because you said it, because now I see it. And now I have my kids buying into that prospect. So
I think I love your approach. I think financial literacy and consulting tends to mirror sometimes the health industry. Everyone has their own point of view of what works.
Right.
And I think maybe in the past we've had a lot of big heavy hitters saying, don't do this, don't do that. You have to really live on it. And I love the approach. Hey, this is our goal. What is it that you're comfortable cutting or changing so you can get to the goal? Like, I love that. And then let me also talk about the needs versus wants. Because what I see a lot in parents that come into the clinic, and even in my own life with my nieces, I sometimes I want to give them things that I didn't have growing up.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that they don't feel that. But do you find that sometimes parents, aunties, uncles, if they can't give them everything, then they start to just spoil them or spend a lot of money on things that don't necessarily get them to the goal. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense because let me just say, I'm going to be very transparent. I am that auntie. When they were very small, absolutely, right? You want to spoil them, you want to give them everything, but you have to understand we're raising human beings, right? They're going to grow into adulthood, and those things that we didn't teach them, right, growing up, those conversations we didn't have about not having everything you want right now and having to work for it. And mommy and daddy, we work very hard to make sure we provide shelter and food and these things. And we certainly want to be able to take you to, Universal Studios or take you putt-putt golfing or take you to the movies or whatever. That costs money, right?
Mhm.
And so it's a balancing act that you have to have. But the truth of the matter is, you have to have the conversation, because
Mhm.
what happens is when we do them such a disservice, if we think about it now, a lot of millennials and a lot of groups that I talk to when I go to colleges or whatever, they don't understand. There
Mhm.
is there's a definite lack of conceptual when we're talking about needs versus wants, right? Because mommy always made it look so easy to get,
Mhm.
then why can't I get it? Right? Or,
Mhm.
auntie always gave and said yes. Auntie always, her card never declined, right? Her card always worked, right? She always had money to give.
Mhm.
The problem is you take those philosophies with you. And then when you get into college or when you get out into the world and the world is not mommy and the world is not auntie, they suffer frustration and it affects their mental health, right? I spoke one time at a an event, and it was a mental health event, and people were like, at first, because when she asked me to speak, I'm like, why are you asking me, the finance lady, to talk about mental health? But as I started to really, embrace the opportunity, I really figured out, here's the thing: if my money is not right, neither is my mind,
That's
right?
right.
If my finances are off, I'm stressed, I have headaches, I'm prone to more health issues. And so that's what we see in kids now when they get out from mom and dad. They're trying to live a life, right? But they now have to recognize, whoa, the rent comes every 30 days and that 30 days comes quick,
So quick.
right?
Mhm.
Or, oh, grocery is expensive, right? So we were eating lobster and we were eating steak, but I can't afford to eat like that. So now I'm on the ramen noodles, right, aisle, and that plays and wears on us. And it's not faulting parents, because we
Mm-mm.
want the best for our
Oh,
children.
yes.
And we want to be able to give them all the things that we didn't have as a way to really kind of show and express love. But we are responsible for, parenting and grooming human beings that have to survive in a world that sometimes we may not be in. And so giving them those powerful lessons early on, those powerful concepts early on, finance will be with us forever. It's not going away. We live in a capitalistic world. We're a capitalistic society, right? So in ensuring that they have the knowledge, right, to be able to go out into the world and make decisions that will be decisions that won't cost them their mental sanity, or that won't cost them, in some cases, their lives, right? Because they're so glued to social media and the sound bites that social media gives them, right? Nobody on social media is crying about money. They're only holding up cell phones or holding up, I'm on a great vacation. And when they feel like they can't get that, then they feel like I'm not enough or I'm not
Mhm.
worthy. And people sometimes don't liken it to the financial conversation, but it's such a holistic conversation. And that's why I try to have it as many times as I can on many platforms, because I want people to understand, in order for us to be whole, we have to talk about finance, and we have to talk about it early, and we have to talk about it often. It can't be taboo because we don't have any, or we're embarrassed that we don't have any, or we're embarrassed that we don't, or we feel judged. There is no judgment in your house when you're talking to your kids. Your kids are looking up to you. They look for you, love, support, right? So framing those conversations in a way where they don't feel judged and they don't feel lack, right? Then I think that's where a lot of conversations have to start being had in the home, or in whatever your, safe zone is. having open, direct conversations. I have to have them with my nieces and nephews, right? I'm
Mhm.
like, you guys
Yeah.
are getting older. So I could go to Five and Below and buy you 20 things and it didn't cost me anything, right? Now, you want AirPods and they cost $2.99. So that's the only thing you're gonna get. Like there's nothing else under that Christmas tree.
Well,
Or, my nephews, they play football, so they're not small guys. And your shoes, they
yeah.
cost $300. And so it's not like, money's growing on a tree and I could just go pull $300 off every time you need it, right?
Yes.
The credit card might swipe, but I got the cash behind that credit card. So
You got to pay for it, guys, in a month
exactly,
or so.
exactly. So starting to have those conversations early and often, I think is really a key.
Can you, since you talked about wants and needs, go ahead. Could you give me a few example of a want versus a need? I don't think we talk about the specifics of that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, a need is shelter, right? That's a need. Um, More shoes after I just bought you some 2 weeks ago is a want, right?
Mhm.
Um, I'm very, and I kind of alluded to this, and I tell everybody this because I, again, want this to be authentic, right? So a need is the light bill needs to be paid, or the phone bill needs to be paid, or we need groceries in the house. I'm impulsive in my shopping sometimes, and so I had to do something that my sisters are like, you're crazy, but I get those push notifications from Macy's every time they have a sale. Well, Macy's has a sale like every other day, right?
They do.
They
Like,
really do.
it's a Tuesday sale.
Yeah, it's Tuesday and it's 40% off the shoes. And so anytime I got that notification, right, um, it immediately triggered me to go to Macy's and see what they had on sale. It was an
Mhm.
invitation. I felt like a VIP, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And they would get me. And so I had to look because my niece said one day, she was like, "Oh my God, Auntie, you got a lot of shoes and bags and stuff." And I'm like, you're right. And for what reason? Because I don't carry all of them all the time, right?
Mhm.
So I had to stop those notifications from alerting me. Like, okay, I'm not the only VIP. There's somebody else that you can notify, Macy's, right? Um, to come and do your sale. So again, a handbag is not a need. It's really a want, right?
Mhm.
My need for retail therapy is truly not a need. It is a want. And so understanding that in the moment is quite key, because sometimes we do retail therapy because we're feeling down. Well,
Mhm.
now if I need retail therapy, I get myself up, put my tennis shoes on, and I'll take a walk because the
Mhm.
same endorphins are going to be released, right? So, um, just understanding that part of it. Another need is my kids need clothes for school. I need to budget that. Christmas is coming. And people they kind of they're like surprised when I say Christmas is a need. It is a need, right?
Mhm.
Your kids want to feel the same excitement as every other kid. You need to give them that. As a parent, you feel that as well, right? You want
Yes.
to see that joy. So if it's a need, we budget for it. We know when
Mhm.
Christmas is every year, right?
Same time.
So even if it starts in January and I'm putting $50 away a month, by the time December comes along, I got $600 that I
Mhm.
can start shopping with, right? Um, that's a need. It's not necessarily a want. So needs and wants in some regards can be very subjective as well.
Mhm.
But there are some fundamental basic things that you need in order to survive in this life. Wants are things that you feel like you deserve. They're not necessarily things that are going to really sustain you. And so that's the difference, right? When I talk about it.
Okay, so putting that into practice, a need might be you need clothing,
Yeah.
but the want would be I need the Air Jordans or I need multiple pair of Air Jordans.
Yes.
You
Yes.
don't. That's a one. Or you might need internet. I think that's now a need.
Yes. I
But
agree.
we don't need a million streaming services. We just
Correct.
need, if any, or cable, to be honest, if we're working toward a goal. I didn't have cable for 5 years because I was trying to get somewhere.
Yeah, I understand.
But you see what I'm saying? So I'm even saying, like, even though it can look like a need, just be careful it's not like a want that you're disguising as a need.
Right. I think, really putting it very clear is a need is something that really is going to sustain you, right?
Mhm.
As I said, a want is something you feel you deserve,
Ooh, I
right?
love that. You
And
feel you
so,
deserve it.
yes, you feel like you deserve it. And
Uh-huh.
so, even though, I have friends that say, I worked hard and I deserve this. Okay, great. Put it in your budget.
Mhm.
Let's budget it, right? So that it doesn't feel raw to you, right? It doesn't constitute after you purchase it. Now I have buyer's remorse and say, you know what, I really didn't need that. I really should take that back. But I'm not going to take it back because I deserve it, right? So it's that mental conversation you're having with
Mhm.
yourself. So I try to, when I talk to, adults specifically, it's the sustaining versus the deserving. When I'm talking to kids, it's about really, do you have to have it now in order for you to be able to move forward? Or is it something that we can work towards get right? And when you put it in those terms for kids, most kids are pretty adept and say, I can work towards getting those hyper dunks, but they want it on a specific day, right? Like I want it for Christmas,
Mhm.
but they understand that I don't have to have it right now.
Yeah. And for any of those, I tend to be that auntie that's like, yeah, you can get it now. I love what you said. Christmas is a need. Like, I need to give them, like, it makes me feel so good inside. And they
Absolutely.
need to receive that. Though they need to be loved that way in a respect too. So consider saving those things that you do for them,
Hmm.
or those for their birthdays, for
Absolutely.
Christmas, and then it would make it even more special.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with waiting. There's nothing wrong
Okay.
with teaching
There's
people
some
to
holidays.
wait. I mean, seriously.
Oh,
My nephews, they have asked me for some football shoes for going on probably 6 months. Well, football doesn't start till August.
mm,
So whether or not I have the means to get it for you, you can wait on it
mhm,
because you're not going to get everything you want right away. Some things you're going to have to wait on. My dad used to tell us all of this all the time, and he would say he had these great quotes because he was from the country. So he was like, when growing up, he was like, you always want things microwave. You want to pop it in and get it out. Sometimes you just need it to slow cook, right? That's when the best things happen when it's in the slow cooker. All the juices, all the flavor, right? And so it's the same thing. I utilize that when I'm talking to parents, when I'm talking to individuals about their finances. It's great to want to have that stuff right away. I
mhm.
really want to have $5,000 in my bank account right now, but it's okay to wait to get it because guess what? When you have it and you don't have any bills, it feels better,
Mhm.
right? Than if I have it and I still got a slew of bills over here I'm trying to pay off. So it's really about just creating that dynamic for the individual and for the kids, really, too. Just showing them that it's okay. It's okay to wait.
I love that. It's okay to, oh, I love all of that. Carolyn, tell us about Kyle and what they offer.
Yeah, so Kyle is a actually a holding company. Kyle Financial Group is a holding company, meaning we have 7 brands underneath it. The first brand to launch out of that was Kyle Consulting, which is my coaching business. And it is a truly, I call it a comprehensive coaching um, service. because I am not just here to coach you to get a certain credit score or to coach you to get a certain lifestyle. I am really coaching you to create healthy families, healthy individuals, healthy businesses, and thriving communities. And so, with that being said, we do one-on-one coaching. um, I am I have a coaching platform. It's called the My Coaching Platform, Maximizing Your Coaching Platform, where we have online training courses and resources that you can get. You can do live Q&As. I have a community forum, so it's not just feeling you are in there chatting. You're chatting with other people who are in the same, program with you. You don't have to participate. But sometimes it's good to know I'm not the only person out here struggling, right? Like
Right.
there's other people who are here as well. You get a network of industry professionals. I may not know it all, but I bring in people that do have the expertise that can get you to your place. We also have a leadership development course where we take a authentic journey and reflection introspectively to get you to enhance your leadership skills. We're all leaders in some way. You don't have to have a
Right.
leader with a huge title, right? But we're all leaders. Some of us are leaders of our home. And so understanding what that entails, the emotional intelligence you have to have with all of that. So I have that program as well. I have a coach to coach. So for people who are looking to be coaches like myself, right? Everybody wants to be a coach, but it takes something to work with people, to connect with people, to meet them where they are, but more importantly, service where their needs are, right? Some coaches are out here and you're just coaching from your point of view. I teach how to coach to the client's point of view, how we get them to be successful. So I have a coach to coach program, and then I also have what is called the entrepreneurial mindset program. I'm a certified practitioner through the Leadership Development Institute. And what we do is we truly teach people who are new to entrepreneurship or people who want to be an entrepreneur. We take you from start to a place where you can go soar. And the program really takes an assessment where we build on your strengths and we identify those opportunities. And so I coach to the whole person. I think once you are an entrepreneur or a leader, Kyle is my company, but Kyle is an extension of Caroline. So I don't just shut Caroline off when I walk through the door and I'm Kyle, right? Caroline comes with me. And so making sure that people understand that and the journey that it takes is really why I do what I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And do you offer classes for little kids as well?
So that's my other apparatus. So I have the Kyle brand, but then I also have a nonprofit, and it's called New Journey Foundation. And New Journey Foundation is really that educational piece of it. So we do have 5 programs under New Journey. We have a SCOPE program, which is a successful creation of professional entrepreneurs, where I do a boot camp and we take entrepreneurs, and again, we take them, instead of coaching them, we take them through a 24 module course on customer service, on how to build out a team, on how to hire people, on developing your core values, branding and marketing, innovation. We do all of that. We also have a ECHO program, which is a enriching children through knowledge and opportunity program. And the ECHO program is strictly for my young students. And what we do with them is we introduce them to financial concepts. We introduce them to the world of capitalism. We introduce them to the world of entrepreneurship. And we give them those tangible resources that they can tap into, right? So they're not behind the 8 ball. These concepts are not new when they go out into the world. I also have the BOSS program, Broadening Our Success, Standards of Success, which is launching this fall. And it's for our high school students, and it's going to be high school students in the Apopka area. And we're going to teach them how to be entrepreneurs. College is not for everyone, but everybody can be an entrepreneur. And so we want to make sure that we speak to those individuals who are looking to be an entrepreneur and have great ideas, but don't really know what success is, and don't know how to define it in the world of entrepreneurialism. So that's one of our programs. Money Matters is my adult program. It's a guide to personal financial literacy. It is the free courses that I teach. I just wrapped up our spring session and we'll have some later this summer and in the fall. So they're all virtual, they're all free, and it's me and my partners coming on there, and we're talking about budgeting, we're talking about savings, we're talking about home buying, we're talking about insurance, we're talking about investments, and how to start investing. So we have those courses. And then my last program is our Drive program, and it's developing rising, innovative, visionary entrepreneurs. And those are for our tech people. A lot of students are technologically, they're brilliant. I mean, really, really brilliant. But
Mhm.
we find that, in particular in marginalized communities, when we're talking about small businesses, we are not given opportunities because we're behind the game in tech. So we partner these together. We partner the college students and we partner small businesses together, and we say, okay, let's build something. The college student gets the mentorship and they get to understand how a business works, right? They get that firsthand. The small business owner gets the youth and the mind of a college student to incorporate some sort of technology into their business that can make them competitive. And so that just kind of rounds out our little suite that we have there. So we have a lot. I say we have something for everyone. So,
You do. You have quite a few offerings there. And how can people get in touch with you?
so you can, I will certainly give you my information as well, so people can reach out to you to get that. But you can go to either of my websites, New Journey Foundation, www.new, N-U, Journey, Journey, foundation.org, and it will list all of our programs so you can find me there. And then for Kyle Consulting, actually, I will tell you to go to coachingwithcaroline.coach. That is the new website that is debuting, and it'll have all of our offerings there. So coachingwithcaroline.coach.
And that's
Um,
Caroline, Caroline.
yes, Caroline.coach. Yes, ma'am.
All right. I don't know if I've ever met a financial coach that was more loving and accepting, yet
Oh,
so knowledgeable. Like you
thank
be
you.
real. It's like you can hype me. It seems like you can hype you up, but once you get up, you're gonna get them where they need to be. And that is,
Absolutely.
I feel like you might be that untapped resource that people are kind of sleep on, but that won't be for long because you've got so much value growing inside of you. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, Carolyn.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. The we're in service to be of service.
Absolutely.
I wake up every morning with the mantra. I say I operate under the principle of grace. It is something that the Creator has given to me, and I am obligated to give it to others. And so, in my mission, it is not about me. It's truly about leaving legacies, and it's truly about helping people reach their full potential. I don't believe people should be left behind because they don't have the financial knowledge or they don't have the business knowledge. I believe that if God has given me the opportunity to have the experience, I am in a season in my life now where I am gifting it to other people. And so that's really where my mission is and my mantra. And I don't care where you are in your journey. Trust me, we've all been someplace, right? So I don't care where you are in your journey. And I really want people to stop the stigma of operating in a place of lack because they feel like they don't have money. I want us to get to a place where we operate in abundance through our lack of funds, right? Because I think that that's where the growth is going to be. So if I can teach people to be abundant living, if I can teach you to change your mindset, and instead of saying, I don't have, you have everything inside of you that you need to be successful. It's just you need somebody to help you bring it out. And so I am a willing vessel to be that person. So
Do y'all
I
hear
think,
that? Oh my God. I'm so sorry. See, I got so excited. Cut you off.
no, you're good. You're
Do
good.
y'all hear that? I don't know a person better suited to help anyone get from where they are now to where they want to be. You guys, please take advantage of this amazing, amazing resource.
That's by
Thank
all means.
you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Caroline.
I am so honored and so grateful for your invitation and sharing your platform and speaking to your audience. And if I can ever be of assistance, whether it's I need a question answered or whatever, please feel free to reach out.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day or evening whenever you're consuming it. Bye.
You've been listening to the Let's Talk About Talking podcast with your host, Adrienne Fuller, language and communications expert for kids of all ages. You can grab Adrienne's book, 30 Days to Get Your Toddler Talking, on Amazon or at speechbuilders.org.